Welcome to the session of international business. And today we'll be discussing protectionism. Now, what is protectionism? So, protectionism it refers to government policies that restrict international trade to help domestic industries. So, we are going to protect our economy. Because what globalization does, it poses the risk of opening up the economy, and everything, the demand and supply, they get affected by the international markets. So protectionist policies are usually implemented with the goal to improve economic activity within a domestic economy, but can also be implemented for safety or quality concerns. When a government legislates policies to reduce or block international trade, it is actually engaging in protectionism. So basically, what happens is that the world has become much more connected on multiple levels, especially the economies, and economically, they are very much related. So if we actually go in the history and see that in 1970s the imports and exports made up at 11% of US GDP, while now they make up 32%. But that's only United States. Uh, it's because of its size, it is less internationally connected than most of the countries. Like for example, according to World Bank, 97% of Botswana's economic activity is actually connected to trade. So the world has become so much globally connected. Firms and workers in high income countries like United States, Japan, or nations of European Union, they perceive a competitive threat from firms in medium income countries like Mexico, China, South Africa, and for that matter, India also, that have lower costs of living, and therefore they pay lower wages. Firms and workers in low income countries fear that they will suffer if they must compete against more productive workers and advanced technology in high income countries. So, both ways, it's a fear, right? If we actually go on a different track, some environmentalists they worry that multinational firms may evade environmental protection laws by moving their production to countries with loose or non-existent pollution standards, trading a clean environment for jobs. Some politicians they worry that their country may become overtly independent on key imported products like oil, which in time of war could threaten national security. So all these fears influence governments to reach the same basic policy conclusion to protect national interest. Whether business, jobs, or security, imports of foreign products should be restricted. So this is essential to learn a few concepts of why protectionism. So of late we've been seeing that post COVID world, people are all the countries are in that protectionism mode, and hence this term becomes pretty significant now. So there is environmental threat, there is health threat. So we are in India are and in United States also, they are banning the Chinese apps. So what we are seeing is a live example of protectionism here. Now, what is the downside of protectionism? So governments they are motivated to limit and alter market outcomes for political or social ends. While government can limit the rise in prices of some products, they cannot control how much people want to buy or how much firms are willing to sell. So the laws of demand and supply they still hold in the markets, right? Like trade policy is an example where regulations can redirect economic forces, but it cannot stop them from manifesting themselves elsewhere. So, for example, in electronics, the flat panel displays, the displays for laptop computers, tablets, and flat screen televisions, they are an example of such an enduring principle. What happened in the early 1990s? that the vast majority of flat panel displays used in US manufactured laptops were imported primarily from Japan. Now, the small but politically powerful US flat panel display industry filed a dumping complaint with the Commerce Department. And they argued that Japanese firms were selling displays at less than fair value, which made it difficult for the US firms to compete. Now, this argument for trade protection is referred to as anti dumping. Other arguments for protection in this complaint included national security, and after a preliminary determination by the Commerce Department that the Japanese firms were dumping, the US International Trade Commission imposed a 63% dumping margin or the tax on the import of flat panel displays just to dissociate the import and let the US firms thrive. So, this can be the downside of protectionism. Now, protectionism takes three main forms. The first, through tariffs, then through import quotas, and then non tariff barriers. We first come to tariffs. What are tariffs? These are the taxes imposed on imported goods and services. Now, they make imports more expensive for consumers, which actually or eventually discourages the imports. For example, in recent years, like we just took this example of large flat screen televisions imported from China, have faced a 5% tariff rate. Now, import quotas. So, another way to control trade is through import quotas, which are numerical limitations on the quantity of products that can be imported. Now, for instance, during the early 1980s, the Reagan administration imposed a quota on the import of Japanese automobiles. In the 1970s, many developed countries, including United States, found themselves with declining textile industries. So, textile production does not require high-skilled workers. So, producers were able to set up lower-cost factories in developing countries. In order to manage this loss of jobs and income, the developed countries established an international multi-fiber agreement that essentially divided up the market for textile exports between importers and the remaining domestic producers. Now, the agreement, which ran from 1974 to 2004, specified the exact quota of textile imports that each developed country would accept from each low-income country. And this similar kind of story exists for sugar imports in United States, which are still governed by quotas. So you fix up a quota that you can import that much commodity or quantity of that product, and that is how you control trade. The next is non-tariff barriers. Now, these are all the other ways that a nation can drop rules, regulations, inspections, and paperwork to make it more costly or difficult to import the product. A rule requiring certain safety standards can limit imports just as effectively as high tariffs or low import quotas, for instance. Now, there are also non-tariff barriers in the form of rules of origin, regulations. These rules describe the Made in Country X label as the one in which the last substantial change in the product took place. Like, for example, we just said that made in China, things we would not use, or the government said that, we wouldn't be getting it because it is made in China, right? So, a manufacturer wishing to evade import restrictions may try to change the production process so that the last big change in the product happens in his or her own country. Now, for example, certain textiles are made in United States, shipped to other countries, combined with textiles made in those other countries to make apparel, and then re-exported back to United States for a final assembly to escape paying tariffs to obtain a Made in USA label. So what if it is made in China, then you have to pay tariffs. So what you do, basic textile, you just stamp it made in USA. It goes in China or in India or Vietnam or any other low-cost country. There it is processed. A shirt is made with the same label of made in USA. It comes back and is being sold as a US product. So this is a kind of a non-tariff barrier. As I have told you, what is protectionism? It is an economic policy that aims to protect the local economy from the imports from other countries, right? It can come in the form of tariffs like high taxes for imports so that it will become less attractive to buy goods from overseas, or it can come in the form of quotas so that the number of goods that can be imported is limited by the government. And protectionism has been practiced over centuries by a variety of different countries. So, even though it has some advantages, it has serious problems as well. So, what are the advantages of protectionism? The first is the protection of local firms from foreign competitors. Now, this is one important advantage of protectionism, that it gives local firms significant protection from foreign competitors. For instance, if there are high tariffs on products from foreign producers, prices will be quite high for those products, and customers will be likely to refrain from buying those items. And they'll rather buy cheaper alternatives from domestic producers, which strengthens the market position of local firms. Thus, especially for local firms who would not be able to compete against big firms on a global scale, protectionism might be an important tool so that they can continue their operations, right? The second is beneficial for the development of new products. Because companies are protected against losing market share to global competitors through protectionism, so those local companies will now be more willing to spend money on research and developments, because their upfront investment is more likely to pay off in long run, right? And it is more likely that new products and technologies are invented for the local market, and that firms will get a kind of first mover advantage, since they do not have to fear the global competitors will steal their ideas, right? Also, the development of local competitive advantage becomes easy. So protectionism may also provide the local economy with a kind of competitive advantage, because the prices for local products will be much cheaper compared to prices for products from the foreign countries. There are chances that consumers will mainly buy local goods, and global competition might stop offering their products at one point in time. Now, if this happens, local firms may be able to conquer the whole local market, which may significantly increase their market position and their competitiveness in the long run. Next advantage is the local job creation. Now, through import tariffs and other protective measures, it is also likely that there will be more local jobs in the long run. Because companies are protected against global competition, their market position tends to improve, and they might be willing to create new jobs due to their increasing market share. And especially for regions that suffer from high unemployment rates, protectionism can be a very good tool to lower this number and to increase the living standard of the indigenous people, right? Next advantage is that trade deficits may decrease. Now, by engaging in global free trade, some countries have huge trade deficits, and the national debt increases drastically due to that. India is a good example for it, right? But by introducing protective measures like tariffs or quotas, the trade deficit will likely to decline, since countries will import fewer goods from other countries and focus on the development of local markets instead. So, protectionism may also lead to decrease in government debt and trade deficits, which may be beneficial for those countries in the long run. The next is additional tax revenue from import tariffs. What happens is that countries that engage in protectionism may also benefit from significant additional tax revenue from tariffs on foreign goods. Now, this additional money that can be used for infrastructure projects or for other things like improving the living conditions of the local people. It can also be used for further strengthening the local economy in order to ensure long term success of the country. Then, the one more advantage is the higher profits from local companies. Because there will be less global competition through protectionism, the local companies may also be able to significantly increase their profits. Now, even though this will be rather bad for consumers, since they have to pay higher prices, it will greatly benefit local companies since they can strengthen their market position and also make higher profits. Now, in turn, governments will also be able to profit from higher corporate tax revenue, right? Next is the gap between the poor and the rich may also close. How? Because free trade also tends to widen the gap between poor and rich since capital is often invested in foreign countries and doesn't benefit the local economy too much. Also, multinational companies often try to avoid taxes whenever possible and will often pay almost no corporate taxes at all. Through protectionism, more money will stay inside the country, which tends to benefit the local economy and the local development of a region. Additionally, companies may have to pay higher taxes, which also benefit the general public since more money can be used for important infrastructure projects, as we have discussed earlier. The next advantage can be the protectionism prevents unfair competitive advantage. Now, in some countries like China, wages are generally much lower compared to high wage countries like United States. And the products can be produced much cheaper, which gives those low wage countries an important competitive advantage because they can offer their product at cheaper prices in the global market. But in order to prevent unfair competitive advantages for these low wage countries, protectionism could be an effective countermeasure since through tariffs, products from those low wage countries will become more expensive and consumers will be less likely to buy those products. And they're more likely to buy products from local manufacturers instead, which would actually boost the local market and the country eventually. Now, sense of patriotism. Through protectionism, the local economy will be strengthened and unemployment rates may decrease in the short run. Now, this may give locals a sense of patriotism since they may feel as a valid part of society. So, our made in India, what is that? That is patriotism. And the people, they do not have to fear to get unemployed due to fierce global competition. This sense of community inside countries may increase because of the protectionism. The last advantage here is less unlawful activities. Now, what happens that the free trade makes the world much more open since large amount of goods can be shipped all over the world on a daily basis. Now, this also implies that criminals may use those open markets for their purposes and illegal substances and other unwanted goods may be able to reach several countries all over the world. Through protectionism, country borders would be better secured and the chances for these unlawful activities may decline. So, the drug imports and all those things takes place because and they there have been much more degree after the globalization. So, these have been the advantages of protectionism. Now we come to the disadvantages of protectionism. The first is global welfare loss. Now, uh, as such, we've seen in the previous analysis of advantages that protectionism can have many important advantages. But it has serious downsides also. One of the problems of protectionism is that it also implies a global welfare loss. Since companies from foreign countries are not able to offer their products at a lower price like they usually would without protective measures, consumers cannot profit from those low product prices. And on a global scale, this implies serious welfare losses since companies cannot supply customers with products for the lowest prices possible. Another disadvantage is that only temporary solution. It's protectionism, it's only temporary solution for all the problems. Why? Because protectionism can benefit local economies only in the short run. However, what will happen in the long run? History has actually shown that the countries that engage in protectionism may not develop as well compared to the countries that have free trade policies. Because what you are doing, you are killing the competition, and hence, the growth and development also takes a hit. Now, this is very logical because international trade provides many opportunities for companies as well as consumers, and will be the way to go in the long run for every country that wants to become or stay successful in future. So you need to have healthy competition in the market. The next is less pressure for innovations. Now, this is going to happen with protectionism. So, protectionism also lowers the pressure for innovations. Since local companies are protected against foreign competition and do not have to fear superior products entering the market due to that, so what will happen? Their incentive to drive innovations might be very low, and they may rather rely on their old proven products instead of inventing the new ones. Then, less price pressure. Another downside of protectionism is that it vastly decreases the price pressure on the companies. Because there is less competition, companies are able to charge higher product prices. In turn, this means that customers have to pay these higher prices and will be able to afford fewer products, which may also imply a significant welfare loss for the local population. Another disadvantage is that higher product prices. What will happen? Due to the lower level of competition and higher product prices for products from local companies, one might say that consumers could switch to products that are manufactured in foreign countries. But those products have become quite expensive through the introduction of tariffs and will not be much cheaper compared to the local products in so many cases. So, through protectionism, the overall price level may increase significantly, and consumers will often not be able to do anything about it because the local as well as foreign products will become more expensive. The next is the products may decline in quality also because there is less need for innovations, and also the overall level of competition is decreased through protectionism. The quality of products may also suffer since local producers will not have to take efforts to assure high product qualities, since there will often be simply no other company which provides better products. Therefore, protectionism might also hurt the overall quality of the product as well. Next is problems for industries once protectionism is abandoned. Now, what will happen when you will remove the protectionism? Because protectionism can often not be sustained in the long run, it has to be abandoned. Now, companies who previously operated in this protected economic environment will now compete with the global brands and may likely not be able to stay in the business in this fierce competitive environment in the long run. So, governments around the world should consider this problem before introducing protective measures in the first place. Next disadvantage of protectionism is that countries may lose connection to latest technological processes and progress. So it also may be hard for companies and whole industries to keep up with the latest technological progresses because through protectionism, access to latest research findings may be limited, and also the sharing of new ideas may be quite limited. So, countries that engage in protectionism may lose connection to the latest technological progress, which may threaten the competitiveness of those companies in the long run. The next is limited choice of products. Protectionism also implies a limited choice of products for customers. For instance, if you go to a store, you are used to a big variety of products. Even though you might take all of this for granted, if you live in a country that promotes free trade, you might not have this variety of products in countries that have strict protective regimes. Since certain products may be restricted with quotas, and the variety regarding those products may be very limited. The next disadvantage is that knowledge cannot spread across border. Now, you know that knowledge is a key in order to progress as a nation. Most of our latest technologies are invented by teams of talented international researchers who collaborate and make exciting things happen. However, if a country decides that it wants to engage in protectionism, chances are that researchers in those countries will no longer be able to collaborate with other foreign researchers, and the spread of knowledge across borders may be very, very limited. The next is global technological progress may slow down. Now, since there is a border for the spread of knowledge and research findings across borders through protectionism, also the overall global technological progress may slow down. Now, in turn, billions of people all over the world may suffer from this since we as humanity urgently need technologies that are suitable to solve our environmental problems, right? The next disadvantage is that labor shortages in certain industries. So, some industries branches heavily rely on the knowledge and the workforce from people in foreign countries. Now, in certain industries, there may be significant labor shortages through the introduction of protective measures, and companies that are affected by those labor shortages may lose their competitive edge or may even be forced to go out of the business in the long run if they are not able to get access to enough qualified workers. So, that can be a big problem. The next disadvantage of protectionism is that freedom is important and should not be limited. Now, freedom is quite an important good, and it took as many centuries to reach the level of freedom as we are today. Now, thus, everything that limits our global level of freedom should be evaluated quite critically. Protectionism also confines our overall level of freedom since it lowers product choices for customers and it also hurts international companies. Hence, also from a freedom perspective, protectionism can be considered to be not the right way to go. The next disadvantage is that people may migrate to countries with free trade. Now, because the variety of consumer products and other services may be rather limited in countries that engage in strict protectionism, many people would want to leave those countries. This may be especially true for highly skilled workers who rather want to live in their lives in countries which have more open attitude. So, in 70s and 80s, we saw an outflux, an outgo of, our educated workforce migrating to United States. So, NASA has got a huge percentage of scientists from India. The top surgeons in United States are from India. So, we have already seen that kind of people, educated people migrating to other free trade countries. And hence we can see that protectionism also leads to state where highly educated people leave a country, which may significantly hurt the local economy in the long run. Next disadvantage is that international investors may refrain from investing in those countries. So international investors, for them it is very hard to invest in countries that engage in strict protectionism. Why? Because they feel that there are too many insecurities related to such an investment. So those investors might seek other investment opportunities rather than, which may result in too low investment levels in protective countries in the long run. And in turn, this may also lead to adverse effects for the local economy because investments are economic development, and they are closely related, right? The next disadvantage is that market forces cannot work properly. Now, in general, through protectionism, natural market forces will no longer work properly since the prices for foreign products are greatly artificially increased. This, supply and demand will no longer be the driving force behind the price determination. And in turn, the overall global welfare will decrease, and protective countries may suffer from significant economic damage in the long run because they will sooner or later lose their competitiveness once they have to abandon their protective scheme. Now, the last disadvantage of protectionism is that protectionism may increase tension between countries, because protectionism does not only have significant economic effects, it may also increase the real tension between the countries. The overall relations between countries may become much worse if one country decides to apply protective measures to its economy. So recently we have seen the relationship of China with other countries have really deteriorated, especially with United States. So in the worst case, this may result in serious conflicts which may hurt millions of people on a global scale. So all these things we have to keep in mind while a government is thinking of having protectionism. So if we actually see which is better, protectionism or free trade, so we've seen there are plenty of pros and cons of protectionism, but history has shown that countries that allow free trade will be more successful in the long run. Therefore, governments all over the world should refrain from protectionism and allow free trade in order to increase and sustain high levels of welfare on a global scale. These are the references. Thank you for listening.